Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing another top 10 video, and this time it is my top 10 personal rides at Phantasialand. And if you didn't know, I did recently, well, I say recently, by the time I've uploaded this and actually got round to filming it, it was quite a while ago now, but I did relatively recently go to Phantasialand, and so I thought I'd do my top 10 personal favourite Phantasialand rides. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the list. So first off, before we get into anything, I'm going to do my honourable mentions / rides that didn't make the cut, as you can see there. So the only coaster at the park, I believe there was 7 coasters at the park. The only one that's not on the list is Temple of the Nighthawk, and simply put, it was just boring. It's one of the worst coasters I've ever been on. I had someone comment on my vlog, and thanks for that comment, really helpful. It was just explaining how Temple of the Nighthawk used to be really good. I've forgotten what the name of the ride it used to be was. I'll probably either put it on the screen now, or you can find that comment, I suppose. But yeah, Temple of the Nighthawk was apparently used to be a really decent ride with all theming, and then the theming was removed randomly and that's it. It's not come back, so it's a bit, annoying that. And it was a really boring coaster when I personally rode it, and obviously this is based on my personal experience of Temple of the Nighthawk. Isn't going to be making the list. Then we've got Talokan, and this is a very, very, very controversial one, because Talokan itself is an amazing ride, and I would be one of the people who agrees that it's one of the best flats I've been on. However, as this is my own personal experience, it's not making the list. And whose fault is that? If you can see there, it's obviously a Norbert operator, as I've put there, although I have capitalised the N in Norbert, which I shouldn't have done. But yeah, if you haven't watched the vlog, basically I tried to get a ride on the front of Talokan and couldn't because of a Norbert operator who, after numerous rides on the ride and me numerously asking if I could go on the front, refused to let me go on the front. There was a sign saying there's no open seating, so it's fair enough, but I mean, after 4 times, and after I had gotten onto the back of it, there was people he let through onto the front, so I don't know if it was a personal thing, but my ride experience was kind of hindered by that, so it's not going to make the list. And then the last 2 are the Hollywood Tour and the Chinese Ghost Train, and these are, I think it's Geisterrikscha or whatever it is. These 2 rides were just horrendous. Hollywood Tour was the better of the 2, but as I've said there, it's just laughable. And I think what I've said for the Chinese Ghost Train probably goes for both of them. They were good in their day. The animatronics, I imagine they were decent at the time, but they're just not good anymore. Anyway, let's stop messing around with the honourable mentions, and let's just get straight into the list. So at number 10, we've got Colorado Adventure, and I actually really like this. It's definitely one of the best mine train, Vekoma mine train coasters I've been on. It's much better than Mammoth last year. Mammoth was just boring. The main difference with this and with Colorado Adventure and Mammoth last year, obviously I went Gardaland last year. If you're wondering which Mammoth it is, I'm actually referring to. But yeah, the difference between this and Mammoth is this actually had a chance to get going and was a decent bit in between the lift hills. But on Mammoth, it just as it started to get going and get good, into a lift hill or the final brake run. So this was definitely better than Mammoth for me, and it has made the list at number 10. Number 9, Mouse au Chocolat. Really decent ride, this one. I really enjoyed it. It's pretty unconventional. A lot of the time screen rides aren't the favourite of many people, but when a screen ride is pulled off as good as Mouse au Chocolat is, it deserves to be in this list. The queue line itself's really nice, with really good smell pods and theming throughout, and then the ride itself is good. The only thing I would say that could probably bump it up a place or 2 is if the firing mechanism was a bit better on it. I mean, they are trying to emulate the kind of, what they called icing guns. I've probably botched that in Triggered Chefs, but it's trying to mimic that, so I suppose the cord on the ends makes sense. But I think if I had a, it doesn't need to go too far with its theming, I'd say. If it was just a gun, it would be better. But yeah, it's really good fun, and the 3D aspect really does help it. Number 8, Rake. It's still a good coaster, really nice fun family boomerang. Those rides, the best part of them is undoubtedly the first drop on all of them. After that, it's just a bit crap really in it. But yeah, it was alright. It's obviously not the best coaster at the park. It's not the worst coaster at the park. But yeah, it was a decent coaster. It was smooth. There wasn't a rattle on it, which is good. These new Vekoma family boomerangs are generally good rides, and in comparison to the other family boomerang I've done, Accelerator at Drayton Manor, this is much superior to that one in terms of both theming and the ride itself. Number 7 then, Windjass Force, and for this list I have split up the two Windjass coasters into their own coaster, just so you get a grasp of which is my favourite Windjass, and obviously you've been able to tell here that Fear is my favourite, not Force, but essentially it's the indoor marathon spinning coaster. I can't remember, I think Force had the decent outside section, but the not as good indoor section, and I think I preferred the indoor section on Fear enough that I'd say, oh yeah, that could be the one. But it might have been the other way around, I can't remember. But essentially, Windjass Fear, I say indoor section. The whole ride's indoor, to be fair. When I say indoor section, I mean the darker section where there's no lights and that. Obviously, when you're outside, you're going through Woo's Town, and when you're inside, you're in the dark. But yeah, the outside section is really good. Well, not really good, but it's alright. And then it goes indoors, and it's just a bit underwhelming. I think it was this one that's the underwhelming indoor section one. Anyway, and there you go, number 6, Windjass Fear. It's pretty average coasters, definitely better than the two we've got back here, the two marathon spinning coasters, or the Mara AMG coasters, as they like to be called now. Yeah, it's definitely the better of the two, and better than the ones back at home. So it's my favourite marathon spinning coaster. Yeah, Windjass Fear. It's got some nice elements to it. The spinning does help it as well, and the tilt sections are good fun as well. Number 5 then, Black Mamba, and a lot of you may be thinking, why is this not number 2, 3 kind of level in the park? Well, I didn't find it too bad. It was a decent ride. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it's anything like particularly special. You know, it's a decent coaster. But I think, and I explained this in the vlog as well, if you've not seen the vlog, of course go check it out, but I explained this in the vlog, how it seems to want to cram all of the inversions into the first section of the ride, and then it does everything else at the end. And I just think if the inversions and the twisty, turny, intense bits were spread out a bit differently, it would be a much better ride. And yeah, that's essentially my only problem with it. It's pretty smooth. I mean, at parts it gets a little rough. It does have a bit of a rattle, this one. I don't rate it better than Nemesis in terms of being an invert, or Nemesis Inferno, to be fair, but it's still a decent coaster there at Phantasialand. Anyway, moving on into number 4, River Quest. Wow, River Quest was really good. It actually smashed all of my expectations of it. I thought, oh, here we go on yet another Rapids ride, Hafema Rapids, this one, so a bit of a different one. Yeah, it really smashed my expectations. The drops I obviously expected, but they were just really good, and it is easily the wettest rapids I've ever been on. The theming to it's decent. It's got a cool lift system with the elevator lift and that. Yeah, just the whole ride is really, really good for River Quest. Number 3, Mystery Castle. A lot of you may be thinking, again, this one seems to be pretty high up. I really like Mystery Castle. I had a re-ride on it and everything. It was really good fun. The element of the shooting up and coming back down's really good fun. I don't think the first drop on it's that good, because you can feel it's very heavily powered. so you don't get any force on the first drop, but the second drop right from the top of that tower is pretty damn high up. It's really good fun, I'll be honest, Mystery Castle. It's just always a laugh. And then in the queue line as well, they had an actor. I don't know if this is a regular thing or if it was just then, but they had an actor who was jumping out on people. It was alright, but for me it kind of ruins the rest of the queue line, because you didn't know if that actor was just the one-off actor or whether there was more. So I was too worried about any other actors jumping out and that to actually enjoy the queue line. But it was still a decent queue line with all the kind of weird scientific lab thing going on. Number 2, Chapass. No, I've just started doing Voletarium. I never mind. Trapass, yeah, it's got a really catchy soundtrack, but it's gone from my head now, so I can't remember it. But yeah, the ride itself is really good. That final drop's amazing. It's got good theming throughout the rave rooms, really good. The backward drop's good. The first drop's good. All the drops on it really are good. The only beef I have with it is probably the airtime hill, which it does give airtime, fair enough, but it's just, and I know they can't make this ride physically without the airtime hill just because of the position of the queue line and the fact that the drop has to go under the queue line and back up somehow, and without an airtime hill that would be physically impossible. And I know that because of the airtime hill they have had to get restraints on it, but I think the restraints probably could have been done a bit better than they were. They were uncomfortable like hell on the airtime hill, but I mean it didn't hinder the ride that much. It was still a decent ride. I went on it twice, but the second time it ended up being a third wheel because I was a single rider for my second ride and ended up behind a couple that were very lovey-dovey throughout the whole ride, and I did feel a bit uncomfortable, especially after the final drop where I was pushed forwards in my restraint and couldn't physically pull myself back, so I was right in the guy's backside. But it's still a fun ride, isn't it? And it's banter. So there's Chapass, and I think you can all expect what's coming at number 1. If it was anywhere else, I think there would be Outrage, Taron, my new number 2 coaster. It was my number 1 at the time. Incredible coaster, but Blue Fire has overtaken it now. Controversially, you could say, yeah, Taron. Wow, both the launches are incredibly fun. The airtime on it's insane. The intensity on it's insane. That second launch going up past that waterfall is just brilliant fun. It's just an all-round incredible ride. The only reason for me that Blue Fire is better than it, I think, is because Taron has an ever so slight rattle, whereas Blue Fire doesn't. And I think that probably is one of the major turning points. You see, it's barely anything into Taron. It's just an incredible coaster, and the fact it's not number 1 really does speak volumes about my opinion of Blue Fire. The fact that such a world-class coaster is being beaten. But yeah, Taron, oh my god, it's so good. It's hard to describe without you physically experiencing it yourself, so if you haven't already, you need to get yourself out there. It is imperative that you get yourself out there to go and ride Taron at Phantasialand. Brilliant coaster, world-class coaster, as I've said. Yeah, you may think a few of the things I've got on this list are wrong. If so, tell me what your list is in the comments, and thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.